In 1630, a samurai named Kuji trained harder than anyone in his dojo. 12 hours a day, full intensity, no rest. Within 3 months, he collapsed, not from injury, but from total energy loss. At the same time, his master instructors, men in their 50s and 60s, trained the same 12 hours and never appeared tired. The difference was simple. They understood 3 principles, 3 psychological rules that controlled energy at its source. Kuji was about to learn them, or destroy himself trying. By the end of this, you'll know them too, and you'll understand why you've been losing energy your entire life without realizing it. Chapter 1. The Collapse. Kuji woke up and couldn't move. He wasn't paralyzed, just empty, as if every bit of strength had been drained overnight. He was 22 years old, a samurai in Lord Tida's elite training program. 6 months earlier, he had been chosen from hundreds of candidates. This was the opportunity of his life, and he was failing, not because he lacked ability. His sword skills were sharp. His technique was precise. His commitment was unquestionable. But his energy was gone. Every morning, he forced himself out of bed. Every training session felt like moving through thick mud. Every night, he collapsed into sleep so deep he never dreamed. Other students trained hard, recovered, and returned stronger. Kuji trained hard and grew weaker each day. "Kuji," instructor Hideaki said, his voice cutting through the morning air, "you look like a corpse. When did you last feel alive?" Kuji tried to stand straight. His legs trembled. "I'm fine, sensei. Ready to train." "No," Hideaki said. "You're not fine. You're destroying yourself. Sit." Kuji sat down, relief washing over him just from stopping the effort of standing. Hideaki was about 55 years old. Gray hair tied back, a weathered face, but sharp, clear eyes full of energy. He had already trained 4 hours before dawn and would train another 8 during the day. Yet he looked more alive than Kuji felt after 10 hours of sleep. "Tell me your routine," Hideaki said. "I wake at 4. Train until breakfast. Train after breakfast until lunch. Train after lunch until dinner. Study sword theory. Practice meditation. Sleep." "How long do you sleep?" 6 hours. Sometimes 5. I want to maximize training time." "And how do you feel during training?" Kuji hesitated, then answered honestly, "Exhausted. Like I'm moving through water. Every strike takes effort, but I push through." "And you think this is discipline? This is dedication?" "Yes, sensei." Hideaki smiled, but there was sadness in it. "No. This is ignorance. You're confusing effort with effectiveness. You're mistaking exhaustion for progress. And you're close to destroying your body and mind because no one taught you the 3 principles." "What 3 principles?" Kuji asked. "The principles that separate drained warriors from unstoppable ones. The reason I can train 12 hours a day at 55 with steady energy, while you collapse at 22. Kuji leaned forward despite his fatigue. "Please teach me." "I will," Hideaki said. "But first, understand this. Energy is not physical. It's psychological. Your body isn't the problem. Your mind is. Until you fix how your mind manages energy, your body will keep failing." "I don't understand," Kuji said. "Come," Hideaki replied. "Watch the others." They walked to the main training ground where 50 samurai practice forms. Some moved with smooth power. Others, like Kuji had been, moved with clenched teeth and forced effort. "Watch Takumi," Hideaki said, pointing. "See his face? Tight jaw, rigid shoulders. He's fighting his own body, just like you." Then he pointed to another student. "Now watch Riku. Relaxed face, loose shoulders, effortless strength. Same movements, completely different energy use." Takumi would be exhausted within an hour. Riku could continue for 6. "Same physical work," Hideaki said. "Different mental approach. That's what I'm teaching you, how your mind controls your energy." He turned back to Kuji. "The first principle is this: energy follows attention. Where your mind goes, your energy goes. Right now, he continued, your attention is scattered, worrying about performance, comparing yourself to others, judging each movement, replaying mistakes, anticipating challenges. Your mind is everywhere except where you are. But I'm focused on training, Kuji said. No, Hideaki replied. You're focused on thoughts about training. That's not the same. When you swing your sword, are you aware of the sword itself? Or are you thinking about whether the swing is good enough, who's watching, how fast you're improving? Kuji realized the truth immediately. I'm always in my thoughts. Exactly. Every thought that pulls you out of the present moment leaks energy. A small leak, repeated thousands of times. By the end of the day, you're empty. How do I stop the leaks? That's what the principles are for. We start with the first. Master your attention, and you master your energy. How? By placing your attention exactly where you want it, and nowhere else. By noticing when it wanders and bringing it back. You must train your mind the same way you train your body. Hideaki gestured toward the ground. Starting tomorrow, before every training session, you'll spend 5 minutes doing nothing. Sit. Watch your breath. When your attention wanders, bring it back. That's it. Kuji asked. Yes. And you'll find it harder than fighting 10 men. Your mind will resist. It will argue. It will tell you this is pointless. Ignore it. When your attention becomes single-pointed, your energy becomes steady. Kuji bowed. I'll begin tomorrow. No, Hideaki said. You'll begin now. Sit. 5 minutes. I'll return. He walked away. Kuji sat and closed his eyes. Within 10 seconds, his mind drifted to dinner. He brought it back. 5 seconds later, he replayed the morning conversation. He returned again. 3 seconds later, he worried about tomorrow's test. Again, he returned. 5 minutes felt like an hour. When Hideaki came back, something had changed. Kuji didn't feel energized, but he felt less drained, as if a hidden leak had been sealed. How do you feel? Hideaki asked. Different. Lighter. Good. That's the first principle beginning to work. Tomorrow, we add the second. Resistance creates exhaustion. For now, remember this. Your attention is your energy. Control one, and you control the other. Chapter 2. The first principle, energy follows attention. Days 1 to 7. Kuji began every session with 5 minutes of breath awareness. Day 1. His mind wandered every 3 seconds. Day 2. The wandering continued, but he noticed faster and returned sooner. Day 3. He experienced something new. For 5 seconds, his mind was completely quiet, only breath, only presence. And in those seconds, there was clarity. Day 4. During sword practice, he placed all his attention on the sword itself, its weight, balance, movement. Not on judgment. Not on observers. The form he had struggled with for weeks suddenly flowed with ease. You just learned something, Hideaki said. When attention is unified, the body knows what to do. When attention is scattered, the body compensates, and compensation costs energy. But how do I keep attention unified in real combat? That comes later. For now, understand where your energy goes. Hideaki drew in the dirt. Scattered attention. Worry, 20%. Comparison, 15%. Judgment, 15%. Past regrets, 10%. Future anxiety, 15%. Actual task, 25%. Unified attention. Actual task, 100%. Most people, Hideaki said, use only a quarter of their energy on what they're actually doing. The rest is lost to mental noise. No wonder they're exhausted. The samurai who trained 12 hours with steady strength weren't thinking about fatigue, time, or evaluation. They were fully present. Sword, breath, movement. Isn't that difficult? Kuji asked. Extremely. That's why it's a skill. Your mind has been uncontrolled your entire life. Training it is like taming a wild horse. Once trained, It becomes your greatest asset. Day 5. Kuji noticed something critical. One thought, "What if I fail the test?" appeared, and his body immediately tightened. His energy dropped. "Sensei," he said later, "one worried thought changed my entire body." Hideaki smiled. "Now you see. Thoughts aren't just mental. They trigger physical responses, tension, stress hormones, shallow breathing. Most people experience this hundreds of times a day without awareness. So controlling attention controls my nervous system, my endurance, everything." Yes. Day 6. During sparring, an opponent struck toward Kuji's head. Normally, he would tense and overthink. This time, he placed full attention on the strike itself, nothing else. His body moved smoothly. Block. Counter. Strike. Effortless. "You just experienced Mushin," Hideaki said. Hideaki said, "No mind. When attention becomes so unified that there is no gap between perception and action, that is the objective. In that state, energy use is minimal and effectiveness is at its highest." On day 7, Kuji realized something important. He was training the same number of hours as before, but he was no longer exhausted. Not even close. At the end of the day, he still had energy. The only change was 5 minutes of breath observation before each session and the deliberate practice of unified attention during training. "Sensei, this is incredible," Kuji said. "I feel like I've uncovered a hidden rule." "You have," Hideaki replied. "But this is only the first principle. Energy follows attention. You're learning to direct attention so energy stops leaking. Now we move to the second principle, which is even more important." "What is it?" Kuji asked. "Resistance creates exhaustion." "What does that mean?" "It means most of your energy is not lost through physical effort. It's lost through mental resistance, fighting what is, wishing things were different, arguing with reality. Tomorrow, you'll learn how to stop doing that." Chapter 3. The second principle. Resistance creates exhaustion. Days 8 to 14. This phase focused on acceptance training. "Today," Hideaki said, "you'll do something that may seem pointless, but trust the process." He handed Kuji a heavy wooden bucket filled with water. "Hold this straight out in front of you. Let's see how long you last." Kuji lifted the bucket with his arms extended. Within 30 seconds, his muscles burned. Within a minute, his arms shook. At 90 seconds, the pain was overwhelming. He dropped the bucket. "How did that feel?" Hideaki asked. "Painful. Exhausting." "Now do it again," Hideaki said. "But this time, don't resist the sensation. Don't wish it would end. Don't tense against the burn. Accept it fully. Feel it without fighting it." Kuji lifted the bucket again. The burn appeared immediately, but instead of tightening against it, he relaxed, observed it, and accepted it. Something unexpected happened. The sensation remained, but the suffering dropped sharply. He held the bucket for 2.5 minutes before dropping it. "What just happened?" Kuji asked. Hideaki smiled. "You learned that pain and suffering are not the same. Pain is the physical sensation. Suffering is resistance to that sensation. When you stopped resisting, suffering decreased. The pain stayed the same, but your energy use dropped. So all this time," Hideaki continued, "you've been wasting enormous energy resisting discomfort, fighting it, wishing it away. That resistance drains you faster than the discomfort itself." He drew in the dirt again. Discomfort with resistance. Physical sensation, 30% energy. Mental resistance, 70% energy. Total, 100% exhaustion. Discomfort with acceptance. Physical sensation, 30% energy. Mental resistance, 0% energy. Total, 30% exhaustion. "This is why older masters can train longer than younger students," Hideaki said. "Not because their bodies are stronger, but because they've stopped resisting. They accept fatigue, pain, and difficulty. Without resistance, those sensations don't drain energy." Day 9. Kuji applied this during a demanding training session. His legs burned. His lungs strained. His arms felt heavy. Old response. "This is terrible. I can't do this. I need to stop." This shouldn't be this hard. New response. This is discomfort. It's here. I accept it. The sensations remained, but his energy didn't collapse. He continued for another hour. Day 10. Hideaki explained a deeper layer. Resistance isn't limited to physical discomfort. It applies to reality itself. You resist the weather. You resist your partner's skill. You resist difficult techniques. You resist your own limits. Every resistance costs energy. So I should accept everything? Kuji asked. Acceptance isn't surrender, Hideaki said. It's clarity. If it's raining, you can resist it, complain, resent it, lose energy. Or you can accept it. It's raining. That's reality. Now the question becomes, how do I train in rain while preserving energy? That's very different from how I live, Kuji said. Most people spend 80% of their mental energy fighting reality, Hideaki replied. Complaining about what is. Resisting what can't be changed. Warriors can't afford that habit. Accepting reality isn't weakness. It's intelligence. Day 11. Kuji faced his hardest challenge so far. He sparred with Dai, a senior student who was clearly more skilled. In the past, Kuji would have felt frustrated and drained by the gap between them. This time, he thought, Dai is better than me. That's reality. I accept it. What can I learn? The match was just as demanding, but Kuji wasn't depleted by it. He observed carefully, learned from each exchange, and accepted the strikes he couldn't avoid. By the end, he wasn't exhausted. He felt mentally energized. You just learned something most students take years to understand, Hideaki said. You stopped comparing yourself. You stopped resisting the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That resistance exhausts more people than physical training ever will. Day 12. Hideaki explained the neurological side. When you resist reality, your nervous system reads it as a threat. A threat activates a stress response. That response floods your body with hormones meant for short-term danger. But you trigger this response constantly, he continued. Every time you resist traffic, criticism, discomfort, or reality itself, your body stays in stress mode. That's why you're always tired. Acceptance sends a different signal, Hideaki said. No threat. Everything is as it is. The stress response shuts down. Energy reserves rebuild. You function from a parasympathetic state, rest, recovery, and restoration, even during intense training. Day 13. The compound drill followed. 2 hours of continuous forms under the afternoon sun. It was demanding. Kuji noticed his thoughts. This is hard. It's hot. I'm tired. Those were facts. He accepted them. Then other thoughts appeared. This shouldn't be this hard. Why is it so hot? I hate this. He noticed the resistance and let it go. Chapter 4. The third principle. Stillness generates power. Days 15 to 21. The third phase focused on stillness training. Modern training, Hideaki said, worships constant movement, more repetitions, more intensity, more action. This creates warriors who are always depleted, always near collapse. But isn't constant training necessary? Kuji asked. Constant training is necessary, Hideaki replied. Constant motion is not. He stood completely still. No unnecessary movement. No tension. What do you notice? He asked. You're perfectly still, Kuji said. And how does my energy feel to you? Kuji observed carefully. Hideaki's presence felt dense and contained, like stored force. You feel full. Concentrated. Exactly, Hideaki said. That's the third principle. Stillness generates power. Most people leak energy through unnecessary movement, unnecessary speech, and unnecessary mental activity. A warrior who masters stillness stops the leaks, builds reserves, and becomes a battery instead of a draining container. But we have to move, Kuji said. Of course, Hideaki replied. Now watch. Hideaki performed a form. Every motion was precise. No wasted movement. No excess tension between actions. Stillness between strikes. Then a junior student performed the same form. He was skilled, but the difference was clear. Small adjustments, facial tension, constant micromovements. Same form, Hideaki said. My version uses about 30% energy. His use is 80%. The difference is stillness between movements. Economy of motion. No leaks. Day 15. Kuji began stillness training. 5 minutes of sitting, not focusing on breath, just remaining completely still. It was uncomfortable. His nose itched. His back ached. He wanted to move. His mind searched for something to do. But he stayed still. Later, Hideaki explained, what you felt is your nervous system's dependence on stimulation. Modern life trains you to need constant input and movement. Stillness feels threatening, but it's actually restorative. It builds power. Day 16. Hideaki introduced the theory. Your nervous system operates in two primary modes, he said. Sympathetic and parasympathetic. The sympathetic system governs action, fight, flight, performance. The parasympathetic system controls restoration, healing, digestion, rebuilding. Most warriors spend nearly 90% of their time in sympathetic mode. They rarely restore fully, so their reserves slowly drain. Stillness activates the parasympathetic system, even during training. When you can remain completely still, physically and mentally, between techniques, you recharge while working. That is the real secret behind 12-hour training days. Not superhuman stamina, but deliberate stillness. Day 17. Kuji applied this during training. Between repetitions of forms, he stopped completely. No shifting, no adjusting, no planning the next movement, just stillness. The difference was immediate. After 2 hours, he felt fresher than he once did after 30 minutes using his old approach. You're learning, Hideaki said. Your body is discovering it can restore energy in the gaps, the spaces between action. That's where power builds. Day 18. Mental stillness. Physical stillness is easy to see, Hideaki said. Mental stillness is more subtle. Watch your mind right now. What do you notice? Kuji observed carefully. Thoughts, constant planning, remembering, judging. That's mental movement, Hideaki explained. And like physical movement, it consumes energy. Every thought uses a small amount. A mind that never stops thinking is a battery that never stops draining. But I need to think, Kuji said. Do you? Hideaki replied. Right now, sitting here, do you need to think, or is thinking just a habit? Kuji realized most of his thoughts were repetitive and unnecessary. They weren't solving problems. They were background noise. This is why meditation traditions value stillness, Hideaki continued. Not because thinking is wrong, but because most thinking is waste. Learning to quiet the mind, even briefly, allows energy to rebuild. Day 19. Integration. Hideaki assigned a complex drill. Between each repetition, Kuji practiced complete stillness, body unmoving, mind quiet, fully present. A drill that once exhausted him in 20 minutes, he now performed for 90 minutes with energy remaining. This is it, Hideaki said. The third principle in action. You generate energy in stillness, use it in movement, then return to stillness to recover. This is sustainable mastery. Day 20. The three principles combined. Hideaki explained how the principles work together. Principle 1. Energy follows attention. Control attention, and you control energy flow. Unified focus means minimal waste. Principle 2. Resistance creates exhaustion. Accept reality, and you stop draining energy by fighting what is. Principle 3. Stillness generates power. Master stillness, and you build surplus energy between actions. Together, these create something rare, a warrior who doesn't run out of energy. Not because they have more, but because they waste nothing. Day 21. The test. 12 hours of continuous training, the same program that had broken Kuji 3 weeks earlier. This time, he maintained unified attention. He accepted every challenge without resistance. He practiced stillness in every pause. After 12 hours, Hideaki asked, "How do you feel?" Kuji checked his body and mind. Tired, yes, but not depleted. I could continue. Hideaki bowed. Then you've learned what took me 20 years to understand. Energy isn't physical. It's psychological. Master your mind, and you master your energy. These principles are yours now. Use them. Chapter 5. Modern Application. Years later, Kuji stood as an instructor before a new group of young samurai. Many already looked exhausted. He recognized the pattern immediately. "How many of you feel tired most of the time?" he asked. Every hand rose. "How many believe the solution is more rest, more sleep, doing less?" Most hands stayed up. "You're mistaken," Kuji said. "Your exhaustion isn't from doing too much. It's from managing energy poorly." He had them perform a simple form. Then he asked, "Where was your attention?" "On the movement," one student replied. "Was it?" Kuji asked. "Or was it on doing it correctly, on whether I was watching, on comparing yourself to others, on a mistake from yesterday?" The students were silent. They understood. "Your attention was divided," Kuji said. "So your energy was divided. That's why you're tired from simple actions. This is how you live." He taught them the 5-minute breath practice, watching attention wander and bringing it back. "This feels pointless," one student said. "I thought so too," Kuji replied. "Try it for 7 days. Observe the result. That's real science. Experiment first, opinion later." Next, he taught acceptance. "Tomorrow, notice every time you resist reality, thinking it shouldn't be this hard, or you shouldn't feel this tired. Each resistance is an energy leak. Reality costs nothing to accept. Resisting it costs everything." Finally, stillness. Modern culture praises constant motion and productivity. That's why people are exhausted. The ancient rhythm was different. Intense action followed by complete stillness. That balance creates sustainable energy. A student asked, "How does this apply outside training?" "Everywhere," Kuji said. "At work, at home, in conversations. Energy follows attention. Are you present or mentally scattered? Resistance creates exhaustion. Are you fighting traffic while sitting in it? Resenting people you must work with? Stillness generates power. Can you wait without checking your phone? Stand still without fidgeting. Master these 3, and you master your energy anywhere." Chapter 6. The Science. Modern neuroscience confirms this ancient knowledge. Principle 1. Energy follows attention. MIT neuroscientist Earl Miller shows the brain can truly focus on only one thing at a time. Multitasking is rapid switching, and each switch consumes energy. Single-task focus equals high efficiency and low fatigue. Multitasking drops efficiency and increases exhaustion. Principle 2. Resistance creates exhaustion. Stanford psychologist Kelly McGonigal's research shows the same stressor produces different physiological responses depending on interpretation. Stress plus resistance triggers cortisol, suppresses immunity, and drains energy. Stress plus acceptance minimizes cortisol and preserves energy. This was nervous system optimization, not philosophy. Principle 3. Stillness generates power. Harvard cardiologist Herbert Benson's work on the relaxation response shows that brief periods of physical and mental stillness activate the parasympathetic system, lowering heart rate, reducing cortisol, and rebuilding energy. Elite athletes now call this recovery optimization. Samurai called it stillness practice. Same biology, different language. The conclusion is clear. Energy management is psychological. Control attention, acceptance, and stillness, and you control energy. This is why ancient warriors trained all day, not genetics, but optimized psychology. Chapter 7. Your practice. Morning, 5 minutes. Sit. Watch your breath. When attention wanders, return it. Do this before important tasks. During the day, notice resistance, traffic, difficult people, challenging work. When you catch it, accept reality and ask, what's the next useful action? Between activities, take brief stillness breaks. 30 seconds. No phone, no movement, no planning. Just presence. Evening, 5 minutes again. Watch your breath. Review where you wasted or conserved energy. Weekly, choose one day to observe attention, resistance, and stillness throughout the day. Not perfection, awareness. Over time, these principles become automatic. Your nervous system adapts. You naturally focus, accept, and become still. The truth. Energy isn't something you're born with or without. It's something you manage or mismanage. Most people mismanage it. Scattered attention, constant resistance, no stillness. The result is chronic exhaustion, not from doing too much, but from wasting energy. The principles are simple. Energy follows attention. Resistance creates exhaustion. Stillness generates power. Science confirms it. History confirms it. Your experience will confirm it, if you practice. The samurai showed the way centuries ago. The principles still work. What must change is your awareness, your habits, and your daily choices. Start tomorrow. 5 minutes. Watch your breath. Bring attention back. That's the beginning. Master your energy. Master your life.